Hello guys, now we'll study together the summary of Macbeth. Shakespeare published Macbeth in 1606. It tells the tale of Macbeth and his wife's lust for power. This lust for power destroyed them in body and mind. The play begins after Macbeth and Banquo defeated the Norwegian king and Scotland. After the battle, the generals headed to meet with their King Duncan, the King of Scotland. On their journey, they cross a field and meet three witches. The witches proclaim Macbeth as the chieftain of Glamscoda and a future king of Scotland. Then they tell Banquo that he will be the next king of the future kings. The father of the future kings. Macbeth riddled them with questions, but they refused to give him answers. Macbeth is currently the chieftain of Glamis, so that prophecy is already true. But how could he be the chieftain of Coda? And that chieftain is still alive, and so is the king for the matter. Macbeth and Banquo continued their walk while discussing their prophecies. After a while, stumbled upon two fellow Scottish nobles. One of them thanked Macbeth for his service in the war. The other one told him that the King of Scotland had promoted him to be the chieftain of Coda. The nobleman explained that the former chieftain was a traitor. Although he is still alive, the King of Scotland will have him executed tomorrow. This news started to be surprising for Macbeth. Not only did he get a promotion, he also realized that the witch's prophecy is coming true. The next proclamation is that he is the king that is to be. Macbeth wonders out loud if Banquo's prophecy will also be true and he will be a king. Banquo sees that discussing such things, being disloyal to the king to be dethroned. Banquo goes on to warn Macbeth that the prophecy could be a trick to tempt them into criminal behavior. Macbeth sends a letter to his wife, Lady Macbeth, explaining the astonishing prophecy. Lady Macbeth is the grandfather of a different king of Scotland. The current king of Scotland is the son of the king that murdered Lady Macbeth's grandfather. Even worse, her brother was murdered in this power struggle. Because of this, Lady Macbeth privately welcomes King Duncan's downfall back. At Macbeth's castle, a messenger arrives and informs that King Duncan will spend a night in their castle. After hearing this, Lady Macbeth wants to kill Duncan. Macbeth doesn't feel good about killing his king. Yet, Lady Macbeth eggs him on by asking Macbeth if he's a coward. "Why did you write that letter to me?" she asked in a fierce tone. With better words, she egged Macbeth on to murder with cunning words. She showed him how to do it. After dinner, King Duncan goes to bed. Outside his chamber or two of his guards. Lady Macbeth gets them drunk and they fall asleep. Then she goes in to kill Duncan. But his face reminds her of her own father and she can't do it. Her husband Macbeth came later and found the daggers lying by the corpse. Shortly after, he came to his wife with blooded hands, implying he killed King Duncan. She told him to wash his hands and then can't understand why he didn't leave the daggers by the gods. So Lady Macbeth takes them back herself. The next morning, there is loud banging on Macbeth's door. It was the knocking of Macbeth, that chieftain of 5. Macbeth answered the door and they both went to King's bedroom to wake him up. Macbeth walks in and the body of the dead king stuns him. Macbeth pretends to be just surprised. Then Macbeth kills the 2 guards before they can even proclaim their innocence. Fearing a conspiracy, King Duncan's son flee. One of them goes to Ireland and the other one goes to England. In their absence, Macbeth is crowned the king at the city of Scone. Despite being king, Macbeth even more troubled now. He is worrying about the prophecy of Banquo's who are to rule Scotland. They will be the future kings. Macbeth sets out to have Banquo, his son, murdered and hire 2 killers, the 2 killers, try and kill the targets on their way to a banquet where Macbeth is hosting. But Fleance escapes while his father is killed. Meanwhile, the new king and queen are entertaining their guests at the castle. Banquo's ghost flies in and only Macbeth can see it. When Ghost finally leaves, Macbeth raises a toast to our dear friend Banquo, whom Miss all Macbeth is drinking the toast. Banquo's ghost flies in again. Macbeth gets angry at the ghost, which no one else can see this, obviously. Makes Macbeth look deranged. Lady Macbeth quickly takes Macbeth to bed. The next day, Macbeth finds the witches in a cave. He tries to have some answers, but the witches summon their master. The master warns Macbeth to be wary of Macbeth. Lastly, Macbeth is told that he will not be dethroned until the wood of Burnham climb the castle hill. Macbeth also asks if Banquo's descendant will rule Scotland. Confirming his worst nightmare, 8 phantom kings walk past Macbeth. All 8 resemble Banquo. Macbeth sends killers to Macduff's castle. They don't find Macduff, but they do kill everyone in his family. The King of England is planning to send an army against Macbeth. Then Macduff, who is with the King of England, is told that his entire family has been murdered. Meanwhile, Lady Macbeth is going a little crazy with guilt. She imagined that King Duncan's blood is still on her hands. The doctor can't do anything for her as there is nothing physically wrong with her. Then Macbeth receives word that his queen is dead. He said that life is like a candle which can be blown out with the faintest breath of air. A messenger runs it and tells Macbeth that the Burnham woods seem to be moving. It turns out that every member of his English army was carrying a branch, so it looked like the forest itself was climbing the hill. Macbeth starts attacking the English army. He manages to kill the English general's son, but then is killed by Macduff. Macduff brings Macbeth's head to Malcolm. Malcolm is returned to the throne of Scotland. Yet, years later, the descendants of Banquo were crowned kings and the prophecy of the witch is achieved. So we will find that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, they are the victims of ambition and their lust for power.